Hello, Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce members and Bay Area Houston. If you're a business wanting to expand your customer base, give back to your community, think about the quality of life around Clear Lake Area, think about joining the Chamber. Go to clearlakearea.com for more information.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Clear Lake Connections, where we talk to the people behind the brands of Bay Area Houston. Today I have with me Bryan Lopez of Bryan's Mobile RV Repair Service. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I should have read the hat. So just look at the camera and they'll see the hat.
All right.
Tell me how you got started in this. I read a little bit about your background, and it sounded fascinating.
Yeah, it actually happened by accident. My background's medicine and hyperbaric medicine and emergency medicine. I did that for many years, and I maintained a chamber and treated patients. I've always liked working with my hands. I've been a handyman and remodeler as a hobby for years. And I quit working at the hospital. My wife and I moved to Nicaragua for a bit and volunteered there teaching English, and we moved back a few years ago. I was teaching English online and private lessons throughout Houston. And when COVID hit, I just lost all business. For the first couple months, it was great, and then it just tanked. So I was trying to find something else. I was doing handyman work on the side, and my friends were encouraging me to start a handyman business. My wife and I decided to purchase an RV and live in it ourselves, and that's what we did. I purchased it. I completely gutted it and remodeled it myself. And right before we moved in, another mobile RV gentleman came by and saw my work and hired me on the spot.
Oh, wow.
And he was impressed with my work. So that's how I started. Excuse me. That's how I started. A couple weeks into it, he tells me that I need to be doing this myself, that I need to be looking at doing it myself. So it took a few months for me to get the courage up and to start it, and it took $250. Bought some marketing materials, some posters, and posted them around the area. That's how I started. I officially started in January 1st of this year.
So it's interesting because it's not the first time we've heard someone say that they turned a hobby into a business. At what point do you know, hey, wait a second, this is a business and it's not just a hobby?
Well, we realized that when, again, I thought it was just going to be a kind of a side hustle. In the first month, I made $15,000. And I was
That's
like, well,
definitely a business.
Yeah, I was like, this is a business. So after the first month, I started looking into how to separate myself from any other mobile tech. And so that's when I found the NRVTA. It's a trade school in Athens, a national RV training academy or association. And so I called them up, signed up with a few classes so I could be professionally trained. And so that and being insured, one of the only independent mobile guys that is insured, set me apart from everyone else.
I think it's fascinating that the guy that hired you after just 2 weeks is telling you, hey, guy, you need to be doing this on your own. So that must have given you some confidence going into it.
Definitely. The praise that he gave me from the work that I did on my own place really gave me confidence, because I just basically did stuff on my own for the most part and how I like it. Mm-hmm. And so having that confirmation of somebody that's been in the business for years and to say, hey, you know exactly what you're doing, gave me a really big boost of confidence.
And the popularity of RVing over the last 18 months has kind of exploded.
Oh man, it's like 200%. It is blown up. They're unable to keep track of the business that's the amount of sales of RVs, because they can only keep track of the new sales. They can't keep track of used, and used went up about 60% in 6 months.
And is that your sweet spot? Is those RVs that the used ones that people are buying up?
It's funny you mentioned that. Yes and no, because of the push of this market. Manufacturers can't keep up with it. So because of that, a lot of corners have been cut, unfortunately. Quality's dropped. And so I get pretty much 50% right down the line of brand new 2021s where people are calling me having a list long of issues.
Oh, wow.
So it's, but I'd say about 60% is used.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so somebody gets a deal on an RV, and then they call you, and they kind of, I guess it's not just repairs. You're doing the remodels as well.
Yeah. I keep my remodels. I don't do very many because they do take a long time. And I'm focusing mainly on repairs, but I do a few remodels a year.
So I like this concept of businesses coming to the consumer. I've seen lately, I pulled up just the other day behind a mobile vet, mobile dog grooming. The lady across the street uses something like that. Do you think that that's really what makes your business special, is the fact that they're not having to pull a trailer to a location?
Definitely. That's one of the biggest pluses, because the only place that you can take your RV is to Holiday World or Deuce Camping Center, DeMontron, and Holiday World has a 2-month wait.
Oh, wow.
And at that, you have to hook it up and pull it. If you live in it, that's nearly impossible. Where are you going to stay for those 2 months?
Yeah.
So me coming to them is a huge deal, and I don't charge as much as those shops, even though technically I could, because I'm taking my services to them. I don't charge. I charge about half of what they charge.
Oh, wow. And you don't have the overhead either, though.
Exactly.
Okay. And so that's been a real plus. So you do all of the fix-it work, and I believe your wife handles the other side of the business?
Yeah, she's my office manager.
Okay. It's funny how often we hear that from our small businesses, the teamwork that's involved in putting the business out there and running it. Describe what your relationship with your wife's like, and on a day-to-day basis, because I've said it before, I don't think that I could work with my spouse that closely.
I get that a lot, but we've actually grown. We're best friends. We've grown a lot. When we were living in Nicaragua, we worked closely together every single day, and we lived in a 360-foot home there. And so we got used to being around each other and being with each other all the time. So when we started this business, she really wasn't part of it for the first 3 or 4 months. She actually worked for Robinette Catering.
Oh, okay.
Once I realized how much of the paperwork that I really was struggling with, I was like, well, you need to quit your other jobs, and we need to focus on this if we want to make this succeed. And she was all for it at first, and just it was a learning curve for her, but she's getting in the groove now, and she does great. I don't have to worry about the paperwork part of the business and her making the calls to the warranty companies and insurance and this and that. She handles it all.
Awesome. And so, do you still live in the RV yourself?
Yes.
Okay. And that's such a tight-knit community. Have you gotten any word of mouth kind of referrals that way?
Yeah, actually, in the beginning, that's where I got most of my business. It was through word of mouth, and I'm to the point now where I don't really have to market anymore because it's all word of mouth.
Yeah.
And I've got a really good relationship with Deuce Camping Center, and they send me a lot of their calls. And as a matter of fact, they have me do work for them from time to time.
Okay. Yeah, I think small businesses fail to realize the importance of word of mouth. And the only way to really do that is to do a great job. So obviously your clientele is satisfied because then they're telling other people about it. What do you do to make sure your customers are satisfied?
Well, my motto is, even if I'm not all about money. So, for example, there's been some jobs where I lose money on it, but it's worth losing that money if it means that I keep that customer in the long run, or if it means that I'm going to get possible other business through that customer. Because things don't always go my way. That's just how the nature of business is. And so I don't want to be the guy that says, well, I don't care, this is what the charge is. Instead, if I lose $200, $300, $400, $500, I know I'm going to make that up somewhere else.
Yeah. So it's so refreshing to hear that you take that long view, and you're not looking at this as a one-time transaction. You're looking at it as a relationship where it's going to be mutually beneficial all the way down the road. Your background was in medical field, right? How has that helped you in this, or has it helped you in this?
It has, actually. As a caregiver, I know how to talk to people. having good bedside manner is a lot. And so a lot of times there are some customers, well, I'll just sit and chat with them because I know they just need a chat. And those are my most loyal customers because they know when I come and they might tell me their problems for 30 minutes. I'm not in a rush.
What are the typical repairs you're having to do on these RVs?
They vary. It could be roof repairs, resealing, appliance issues, and maintenance. A lot of people don't understand that some of those appliances need to be maintained every few months. There's a lot of things that need to be maintained and kept up with every 3, 4, 6 months at a time. And so those are a lot of things that I do. During the freeze, of course, I handled a lot of plumbing issues, because of the freeze. I specialize in AC work right now. AC work is big, and I specialize in electrical issues as well.
So you said you'd been doing handyman work for about the last 10 years. How does that differ working in a home versus working in an RV or a trailer?
Oh, that I learned that the hard way, actually, because RVs are not like homes where everything is standard. Everything has a rule that you have to follow, so a code, So everything in an RV is built differently. You can have the same exact model that you buy, let's say at Holiday World, buy that same model at another dealership, exact same year and everything, but built at a different manufacturer or a different factory, and be completely different. So that's a lot of issues I have explaining to customers when they ask for quotes and estimates. I can't really do that because I don't know. Once I start getting into it is when I know how long it's going to take, because everything is done differently.
Well, I wouldn't have thought that, but I mean that's kind of, I guess it makes sense. It's kind of like when you go to a car dealership. Some of them have different options, packages, I guess, and dealer add-ons. So I'm guessing it's the same thing in the RV world. What's the biggest lesson you've learned over the last? You said you started in January. Year to date, what's your biggest lesson in business that you've learned that you're like, wow, I didn't see that coming, or one nugget that you can pass along to viewers who are maybe just now getting into business themselves?
Work-life balance is the biggest thing. For me, my family's everything. My physical health and spiritual health is more important. And if I keep that ahead of the business, then I stay happy. I don't get overwhelmed. And knowing my limits as to, how many customers I need to take, and not let my customers or people are calling me dictate my time. And once I keep that in check, I'm much happier, I'm healthier, I'm not as stressed out.
Great. Anything else you'd like to tell the audience before we part?
If you have an RV, just keep it maintained. If you do regular maintenance, it's a lot more maintenance than most people think. If you keep it up, it will last a long time. If you don't, it will be exponential in cost.
And if you don't, call Bryan. You have a website you want to give out that people can visit?
BryansRVRepair.com.
Okay.
You can call me at 832-322-8293. Leave a message. You can find me on Google as well. I have 5 stars.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.